Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling's Victory Road, the Victory Road show. And we also had a really cool announcement during Victory Road. Sorry, guys, swig of coffee for the working man. It is 5:45 a.m. here in the Hawaii. Yeah, needed that medicine in me, man. When you get old, you got to have that coffee in the morning. But Yeah, really cool announcement last night on the Victory Road show. So I wanted to start with that because I thought that was probably the coolest thing to come out of the show was the announcement that Mike Tenay and Don West were going into the Hall of Fame. And they had a really cool video. Impact always does really well with those videos. There's a lot of the same stuff that they did whenever they had the Impact 20 show at Slammiversary last year. I think it was a different song, but yeah, this is really cool because I know that Mike Tenay was, I don't want to say against it, but I think he had basically moved on from pro wrestling and he just was not into, he just wasn't into being around pro wrestling anymore after he had left Impact. He'd kind of moved on. It's really difficult for Dave Meltzer to even get him to come on to Wrestling Observer Radio. Him and Garrett are able to bring him on every once in a while, but it's typically whenever there's like a big tragedy. So the fact that Impact was able to bring him back was pretty cool. I think a lot of it centers around. Um, I think a lot of it centers around just how well they treated Don West when he had his cancer. Impact did a great job. They donated a lot of money to him. They always had the link up on the screen while he was going through his treatments. So it was really cool. They also did a really cool thing for Don during his funeral. I know that they made him videos. They got a lot of people from his past to make him videos. So yeah, man, that was a really really cool announcement. I was so happy to see that Mike Tenay and Don West were going into the Hall of Fame, and old Tom Hannafin was pretty emotional. Like I don't even know that he grew up an Impact fan, but the two times that they've shown that announcement, well, that they not they shown the announcement, but whenever they showed the video at Impact 20, like he was pretty emotional. And then last night when they showed that video again, he was getting a little choked up. I got a little choked up because I love those guys. They're not the voice of my childhood. I was in my 20s by the time or I was um 20 years old by the time Impact had come around, but I still love those guys, and I listened to them for a long time for the majority of my Impact fandom. Like they're kind of the voice of TNA and Impact, and I think it's so cool that they're finally going to get recognized. I think it's so cool that they're going to get recognized at Bound for Glory, and then we'll get to see Mike Tenay. I'm not going to push on this one. I'm not going to start like an online campaign like I've been known to do, but I think it would be really cool to hear Mike call the main event of that show. Just sit in the booth with Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt. Swig of coffee for the working man. But yeah, so awesome announcement. I'm really glad. I'm really stoked. And that should be a fun time. It's going to be really cool to see Mike back in an Impact facility, back in the Impact zone, and who knows where it could lead, man. But Mike Tenay going to be back on a wrestling show for the first time in a long, long time. It's got to be almost 7, 8 years, probably something like that. I can't remember the last time I even saw him on an Impact show because he left Impact and he was doing his gambling podcast, which I actually listened to because I was just a big fan of Mike. And then Taz's original show featured Mike Tenay. Taz's podcast featured Mike Tenay pretty heavily whenever Taz had left Impact. So, yeah, so this is gonna be super cool, man. I'm really excited about this. Um, Now, Victory Road, I really liked the show. I liked the venue. There was a lot of people there. There's probably well over 1,000 people there. Now, there were some people that are from that area that were kind of dismissing Impact, and I get it. Impact is kind of off everybody's radar. They always assume the worst. They've only ever seen them at their worst, and that's kind of what they That's like their reference point is like the bad days of Impact. So they just naturally assume that whenever they're coming to their area, it's going to be bad. But boy, were they wrong. I think this guy, he was a nice guy, by the way. Hold on. He was a nice guy, by the way. His name is Lavi Margolin. He completely dismissed Impact going to that facility because, like, oh, that's way too big. Um, and there's no way that they would be able to do anything in there. And and he said, I think he was saying something like, God, that they're only probably going to be able, get 1 to 200 people in there. And me and Gerard were kind of going back and forth, like, brother, like, look, they're not going to they're not going to like be at capacity. They're not going to go like 2,000, 3,000 people, but 1 to 200, like they're going to go way over that. And he's like, I just don't see it. Well, they basically sold out of their floor seats, which was about 600, and their general admission seats were far more than that. So I think it's a safe ballpark estimate to estimate that they were at about 1,000 tickets. They had about 1,000 people in there, probably more. Um, and that's good for them. Now the top balcony area, the top bleacher area, they didn't have anybody in there. Those are tarped off. But look, this is Impact. Impact's a smaller company, smaller reach, smaller footprint. So for them to do what they did was great. Success is relative to the person, to the company, right? If AEW went in there and they had to tarp off that top, that would not be a successful show. Impact filling out the whole bottom area with probably over 1,000 people, that's a successful show. I hope I don't need to have to explain that to people, but it's a real successful show. And honestly, tonight's taping, Impact 1000, is gonna have more people in it than the actual Victory Road show, because Impact 1000 is this historic show. They're bringing back all the old stars. I'll cover it here next week. I was hoping that by the time I recorded this, we would know who Team 3D is going to be wrestling. But that has not yet been announced. So I guess we'll just have to find out with everybody else. I know my boy Godilla is going to be there at the venue tonight. So I will have some spoilers, which I don't even know if I need to do. Like, I'm not going to record a spoiler podcast. So we're not going to do any of that here. But yeah, it should be a fun time. I'm really excited about it. But this Victory Roadshow, another really solid effort by Impact. I thought they did a great job. On the pre-show, Alan Angels defeated little Guido Maritato. For if you only ever watched him in WWE, his name would have been Nunzio. But yeah, I know him as Guido, formerly of the FBI, the Full-Blooded Italians. Him and Tracy Smothers, and yeah. Look, Guido looks great. He's like a really fit old dude. He's like in his late 50s or something like that. He looked good. He was wrestling Angels as they started the match. The picture went out and a live view thing displayed. So Impact, their production team, nobody's more consistent than these guys. Every time they have a premium show, not pay-per-views are usually pretty solid, but the premium live events, something wonky happens. The audio goes out, the audio is not synced up. They're using a microphone backstage, it's not turned on. Well, this time the whole damn picture went out, and that massive production upgrade cannot come soon enough, because and it happened on the pre-show too. The pre-show is designed to get people to buy the main show. So we got coffee, but yeah, this is a fun little deal. It actually came back up a couple minutes later, a couple seconds later, and then Alan Angels got the win. And then PCO was walking into the parking lot, and he hit himself with a minivan. What do I mean by that? He was Bully Ray was trying to drive a minivan into him, and PCO just ran into it. I don't think the angle was supposed to look like that, but PCO is he's a legend. He's a dudes being dudes type of guy. He just he did not shy away from getting hit by a car, and the damn thing just ran right into him. It's so funny. And then what's also funny is that Bully Ray drives a minivan. Like, it's okay for me, I got a wife and kid, but the Bully, he's supposed to be this tough guy. What's he doing driving a minivan as his rental car? Or actually, he's from New York. It's probably his like own personal car. But yeah, hit him. Bully. So the story of the night was Bully was trying to get out of this match with PCO because PCO is a psycho. And then also on the pre-show, Ace and Bay defeated Moose and Myers. Fine, it's a good match. I they re-signed Moose. I hope this is the end of the Moose and Myers tag team. Something tells me that they're going to be a part of some multi-person tag match at Bound for Glory, though. But this match was fine. And then we go to the main show. One of my matches of the night was X Division Championship. Lio Rush defeating KUSHIDA. I mean, this is essentially a New Japan Junior title match. They worked it as such. Both these guys have been recently in the junior heavyweight division in New Japan, and now they're here in Impact doing some stuff. And so I don't know how long we get to keep Lio Rush, but we should cherish him while we do, because he is so freaking entertaining. He's so great. I'm so glad that Impact has been able to get some dates on this guy, and hopefully they work something out where he can stick around long term. Because I know he's going to want to go back to New Japan eventually. He's not like signed there, but he does. He works both companies, and so it would be really, really cool to get him to stick around longer. So KUSHIDA. So this was like another story of the night. A lot of distraction with the referee tonight for the heels, and even the babyface. There was a babyface match that had it. So it's like, hey guys, we need to clean that up a little bit. It seemed like almost every match had something like that. KUSHIDA swung his arm into the referee, so distracted the referee, and then Lio Rush hit a low blow and then hit the final hour for the victory. A really strong match, though. I don't really care that heels cheat to win. I think they should cheat to win. But yeah, this seemed to be a theme of the night. And Santino's backstage with the medical team as PCO laid out on a gurney. But PCO sat right up. And as soon as the doctor said he couldn't compete and screamed for Bully Ray, walked around. So he's a zombie. PCO is so great. I loved everything that they did with PCO tonight. The match, we'll talk about the match. MK Ultra defeated Gisele Shaw and Savannah Evans. Yeah, super cool. Not really much to the match. But I thought it was a perfectly fine match, and I think the right team went over. MK Ultra, I think they got some with MK Ultra. I'd like to see them bring somebody in for them to feud with and to have a competitive feud with, because right now there's no real team. Maybe if they do something with Jody Threat and Kylan King as a team, I think that would be cool. I think I like that team better than the Taylor Wilde one. Taylor Wilde could manage them and jump in every once in a while, but I like Jody Threat and Kylan King as a team, so maybe they do something with them going to Bound for Glory, or maybe they bring in a team. I don't know who their partners are overseas, but I think I'd like to see something like that. Then again, PCO was screaming for Bully backstage, and Bully ran up behind him and started beating on him with a chair, screaming that he was just a man. Then Ray brought some gasoline out and poured on PCO. PCO spit the gasoline in the eyes of Bully Ray, saving himself from being set on fire. So Bully Ray attempted murder again. This guy, he's something else. Crazy Steve defeated Black Taurus. Crowd wasn't into this one. I think they when Steve came out with that mask on, I think it freaked everybody out or something. They just didn't know what to make of it. And they didn't really know what to make of it. So it was a difficult thing. And then it was basically a complete storyline match. And at one point, Taurus was hovering over Steve, and Steve's begging him to stop. And so Taurus has a change of heart, and he stops. And then, of course, Steve uses that advantage, pokes him in the eyes, and then pins him. So, yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't think I was really into this one. I liked where they're going with Crazy Steve. Maybe it could have been a little shorter, just because the crowd was essentially dead for it the entire time. So, maybe it could have been a little bit shorter. But I think the Taurus Steve match was a bit of a miss. And then they go backstage. Gio was talking with Dreamer about his match with Kenny, and then he kind of did a similar promo that he did earlier in the week on Impact. And then they showed a video, and they showed the video of the same promo that he just did on Impact. So it's like we just got it twice in a row. But he defeated Kenny King to win the Impact Digital Media Championship in a title versus career match. You know what? Dreamer did not look good, and that's not surprising. But when I've seen him have to put on a performance, he's stepped it up. Like his match versus Rich Swann a couple years ago was actually pretty damn good. But he just seemed to not have it. there were times where like he just couldn't do the motion of the moves. Like he was supposed to be thrown out to the outside through the middle and top rope, and he just couldn't make it. Like there was like a lot of instances like that. Kenny King almost had a match with himself, but it was, and then at one point, Tommy Dreamer like just jumped into a spine buster, and thankfully King remembered the spot and actually hit the spine buster, but Dreamer almost did it to himself. But the match was not good. Like what they did in the ring was not very good, and that was mostly because just Dreamer, man, it's tough to watch him move around. He's moving pretty dang slow right now. But it was fun because the crowd was just so damn into it. You know, he had his family and friends there. His kids were in the front row. Kenny King was getting heat on his daughters, which is always pretty fun. And I knew when I saw the promos when he's crying on you and he's talking about, you know, he come out with the funk shirt on and the funk pants and all that stuff. I knew this dude wasn't losing, and I knew that was going to piss some people. It didn't piss me off. It's the Digital Media Championship. It doesn't matter. So that I'm totally fine with him winning. But man, this was a tough to watch, but it was still fun at the same time just because the crowd was so into it. Dreamer was super over. They really loved this guy. They loved the finish. It was a kind of an emotional time. It reminded me of like an old school, like, you know, like when you saw Terry Funk in ECW, just nowhere near as good. But the people were really behind him. Good near falls, you know, all that stuff. So if you want to see a good match, this is not it. But if you want to just see a kind of a heartwarming match, you know, I think that it was a fun little watch. Next up, we get a hype video for Peraza versus Grace, and they're doing the Grace is 0-4 against Deonna Purrazzo. That was kind of the theme of it, and Grace is lifting a lot of weights. That's what she does. So next we get Jordan Grace defeating Deonna Purrazzo for the first time ever. She's 0-4 against her. And I thought this was one of their better matches. And I think I don't know how many times we're going to get this match ever again. So enjoy it while it lasts, folks. I know that Deonna Purrazzo's contract is up towards the end of the year. So when I see them start to take some L's, it does worry me. It does worry me. Oh, hey, look, we got some comments. IO Productions. Hey, what's up, IO? Thank you for being here, my brother. And then James Oliva. Who the hell is this guy? Dreamer didn't look good. I'm shocked. Thanks for jumping in with me. I decided at the last second I was just gonna live stream it to everybody because I couldn't get to editing the video and I wanted to do clips, but I'm busy today. So I just was like, screw it, I'll go live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. You know, this Grace and Peraza match I thought was one of the better matches that they've had. This is one of the better matches on the show. If you need a match to go out of your way to see, this would be one of them. There was only a few on the show, and the other ones there wasn't really anything too god awful bad, but I thought this match was a really good match, and I think we're setting up a big Grace versus Trinity match at Bound for Glory. Grace got the Juggernaut driver for the pinfall, and I think they're really marketing that Juggernaut thing. I think they're really going for it. And then PCO defeated Bully Ray in an ODQ match. This was not that good either, but it was fun. Like, you know, Bully and PCO. Maybe they don't have chemistry. I don't know, but they had every smoke and mirror, every trope you could think of, tons of tables. You know, Bully trying to escape. At one point, Bully went up the ramp. He was leaving the arena, and then Santino came out to try to stop him. Bully slapped him. Santino hit him with the Viper or the Cobra thing. Yeah, tons of plunder, tons of crap, tons of stuff. PCO ends up getting the victory though. He tried to put Bully through a table, and the table didn't break, and they just focused on the damn table trying to break it for the next 5 minutes. They couldn't get it set up. I was just like, you just do something else, bro. But they really focused on the table, and yeah, there were parts of it I was like, wow, this is really bad. And then there were some parts that was like really fun. The crowd was into it, so that's the important part. Then they go backstage. Eric Young and Scott D'Amore with Jim Miller talking about Impact 1000, saying they were there for the very first episode of Impact and they were going to be there. While D'Amore screamed, yes, 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 at the camera like he used to, the leader of Team Canada. You know, I'm glad Scott D'Amore is going to be at Impact 1000 because it'd be weird for the president of the company not to be there. So thank you for announcing that you're going to be there, bud. I wonder what Eric Young's going to do. That'd be interesting. Next, we go to, man, another match of the night. I thought this was incredible. Also another distraction finish where the heels win, but it was the Rascals defeating the Motor City Machine Guns. And I thought that this was fantastic. And it's one of those ones you got to go out of your way to see. Now, if you're upset that heels cheat to win, maybe not for you. If you're one of those people, sorry, but I just thought this was fantastic. But yeah, the Rascals utilized the distraction and spray paint to the eyes, and they got the finish there. But I'm not going to do the play-by-play because so much happened during this match. It was there was a lot going on here, and it was a fantastic. Let's see what Josiah said. I'm reading Josiah's. He said the story of this match is that the Motor City Machine Guns outclassed the Rascals, who, while talented, were not able to compete without cheating. Unfortunately, they basically got screwed by a dumb referee in the finish, but it does add to the heat for the Rascals. Saban and Shelley were honestly unbelievably great in this match, and this is probably the best match of the show thus far, giving Lio Rush and KUSHIDA a run for the money. I would agree. So it's KUSHIDA and Lio Rush in this match, Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo. I dug them all. And then next we go to the Knockouts Championship, Trinity versus Trinity defeating Alicia Edwards. Dude, I don't know where this came from. This lady, Alicia Edwards, is turning into a great heel. She's got this whole Boston thing, and of course they're just outside of New York City, so her whole Boston thing was got a tons of heat. Eddie got tons of heat. Trinity looked like a star. Like everybody in this match was like a big star, and the crowd was just on fire for this. And it was tons of smoke and mirrors. It wasn't very long, and it's good that it's not very long because Alicia Edwards, you're not going to get a great match out of Alicia. But what they did was great. I loved everything about this. They had Eddie cheating, distracted the referee. Gaga. They had Tracy Brooks and Frankie Kazarian coming down. More Gaga. They had Trinity jumped off the top rope to the outside and put Eddie through a table. It was just lots of cool stuff in this. And then Alicia Edwards grabbed a kendo stick and hit Trinity with it. Trinity kicked out to a huge reaction from the crowd. Trinity then hit a full Nelson bomb and roller for the Starstruck, and Trinity just pinned her from there. And then people watching closely would see like they had a little bit of a botch, but I thought everything they did was great. I love this match. And then the video of Mike Tenay and Don West appeared, and then Tom Hannafin was all teared up afterwards, and I kind of talked about that earlier. And then the main event, my match of the night, Josh Alexander versus Steve Maclin. What a tremendous match. Like, it's so good to have these two guys back. They missed some time. I think the story coming out of it is that Maclin can hang with top guys from any promotion, and that's a great thing. I think it's unfortunate because it's going to be difficult for Impact to keep him around once his contract expires. But I loved this match. These guys beat the crap out of each other. I think that if you throw either one of these guys into the G1, they hang with anybody. They're that that's not hyperbole. They're that good. And I think it's time for them to get that kind of respect. As far as their work ability, it's not just Maclin. I mean, it's not just Alexander, it's Maclin too. Like, both these guys were freaking great. Absolutely fantastic match, fantastic main event. Josh Alexander gets the victory here. I think it's clear that we're going to get Alexander versus Alex Shelley at Bound for Glory, which we've seen that match before. It was a tremendous match. Alexander, he is back to his road to the title. And I think it's going to be a hell of a main event for Chicago. Where Maclin goes, 1 year ago, Bound for Glory, he got pinned by Bully Ray, and I was pissed, and everybody was pissed. And they've been teaming up. That team has kind of fizzled out lately. They've been kind of going back and forth on camera. They did a little social media thing when Maclin got hurt. I think it's time for Macklin to finally get his pin back. And then Bully rides off into the sunset. Bully just signed a deal with WWE. I don't think he's going to be around much longer. I know Team 3D's, they're returning tonight. I think something's going to happen eventually. And then, we're going to get that Macklin Bully match. And then Macklin finally gets his win back over Bully. I think that's how we got to end the year. And then if that's how the year ends, I think we need to applaud Bully because he came in and he only got like 1 or 2 wins in the entire year, but he's kept himself on TV. He put everybody over, and all of his programs ended up doing pretty decent for the company. So he is a true veteran, and I hated the fact that he'd come in. I hated the fact that he pinned Macklin, but what he's done so far, I think, has been pretty decent. So kudos to Bully Ray. But I thought this was another really good show. I thought the production was much better than Emergence because Emergence, they kept the lights off for whatever reason. This looked like a big time show. It really did. Now, I know that they tarped off the upper decks and stuff, but that's fine. Like this looked like a big time show. I'd like to see them come back to this venue for like a major pay-per-view and then hopefully try to fill in some of those upper deck seats. I think they've proven that they can sell a lot of tickets in that arena. So why not go for it? Why not, invest a little bit more and then try to sell some more tickets there? I think that would be cool for a pay-per-view, one of the big 4 next year. I think that would be real cool. Like maybe Bound for Glory next year is at this facility. Now that they've proven that they can do pretty good business because they did two nights in a row over 1,000. I think they got something with this place. So I'd really like to see them do this again. But another really good show. Go out of your way to watch Lio Rush and KUSHIDA, Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo, the Rascals versus the Motor City Machine Guns, and of course the main event between Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin. That one I might be. That one's like that. If I were a Dave Meltzer type, that'd be like that 4.5 rank. For me, like it's just kind of the wrestling that I like. Just super hard hitting, dramatic, no bullshit. Just an awesome match. Like just 2 guys going for it, fighting for their spot in the company. And I just really dug it. So it was well worth my $6.99 on YouTube, which I did pay. I'm back in the game, Impact. You got me back. So that and Brace for Impact, you guys got me back. I want to thank the folks that joined us on live. I know I didn't really announce this live stream. I just kind of did it because at the last second, it's like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to even. I'm not going to be able to edit this and chop it up and put it out. And I was like, you know what? The Patreon got an exclusive show on Friday morning. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this one out for everybody. So thank you for everybody for joining me. And thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And then head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show, where, like I just said, they just had an exclusive show just yesterday. Most of all of our content will go there. They typically will get it way before everybody else. And you're typically not going to get a full show like this on the YouTube. I just kind of did it. It would be mainly chopped up in the several bits, and but the full thing you would get on Patreon. So head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show and subscribe if you're an Impact fan. Look, Fightful is probably the only other like network out there that does a YouTube show or that does an Impact show. Observer doesn't do one. Voices of Wrestling don't do one. PW Insider doesn't have one. PW Torch does, but their coverage is a week behind. So they do it on their premium service, but it's always a week behind. Post Wrestling doesn't have one anymore. Fight Game Media, that was me. We stopped doing it there. So I'm bringing it here because I know that some of you Impact fans, there's still a bunch of you out there and you like to get your Impact podcast in. And I'm one of the few people that are still doing it and doing it in a timely fashion on kind of a network. So please think about subscribing. Also hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. Let's get those numbers up, guys. All right. And until next time, mahalo.